From being forced to serve as a slave in the kitchen, to becoming a contributor to the family income, the domestic roles of women have changed drastically over the course of the 20th century. Parallel to this change in domestic roles, many women began to emerge as a money provider in the household and gain the opportunity to further their education. Through close focus on women in the United States, we see that the basic human rights begin to stretch beyond the reaches of just men. The domestic roles of women grew out of the household, and education became readily accessible to them. Women who were once seen as weak and were subject to the oppression inherent in the gender binary changed the world's perception of them by fighting against the stereotypes placed upon them by countless sexist societies. These groups of women have prevailed in their fight against sexism, and proved that their value exceeds just that of their body and their ability to handle the reproductive work of a household. As time progressed past the World War II era, prominent figures began to consist of more and more women. Throughout our discussion of women throughout the world during the 20th century, we will analyze the changing roles of women, as well as what factors have led to the liberation of women today, in addition to the factors that have led to the continuing oppression of women in the present-day workplace. This is History 20.
Oh, hello, and welcome to a special History 20 segment, The Changing Roles of Women Throughout the 20th Century. I'm your host, Professor David Biggs from the University of California, Riverside. We begin this abnormally short history segment by analyzing the stay-at-home mother in the early years of the 20th century. From her time of birth, this woman was expected to enter into a heterosexual relationship in which she would rear her children and at the same time perform the reproductive work of the household, including cooking and cleaning among other tasks.
When her husband would come home from his stint at work, she was to continue performing the same reproductive tasks with no assistance, and at the same time stroke her husband's ego and ensure that he obtained his rest. This work was devalued to a point of which the woman was seen as a slave in the household and was given little to no say in the decisions that were made, as her husband was given the right to control both decisions as well as his wife. There was no escape from the entrapment on the part of the woman, as a lack of access to an education or work created a financial dependence of women on men. We analyzed this family dynamic with a never-before-seen and rather high-tech video from the 1900s. Cue video.
Huge. Oh, what a wonderful life I live with my baby. Cooking every day. Hello, darling. Welcome home.
Where's the remote?
I made dinner.
That's
The
great.
remote is on the table over there.
Yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Okay.
Where's the remote?
Well, that really sucks. And at the beginning of World War I, during the genesis of the first wave of the feminist movement, the roles of women took a sharp turn as factories were forced to hire women in place of the men who were sent to war. And although women were not the primary targets for factory jobs, they were able to fight for their rights in the workplace, as seen in the large role that women workers had in the Russian Revolution of 1917. This change in the roles of women brought about a rebellious atmosphere. On August 26, 1920, women gained the right to vote with the passage of the 19th Amendment, a key piece to the ability of women to gain decision-making. Flappers, a term applied to women who expressed their disapproval for what was considered correct behavior for women, drank, smoked, drove cars, and engaged in more sexual activity than what was considered appropriate for women. Their prominence in the 1920s gave way to a movement of women who wanted to express themselves outside the gender binary. By the 1900s, few women had earned a college education, and even fewer women participated in a career that their education had prepared them for. In 1910, women were finally allowed to become bankers. However, they were still kept from prestigious jobs such as diplomats and judges. Most women who did receive an education were only taught home economics, as they were not expected to participate in the public sphere workforce. There actually was a separate college dedicated to home economics, called the New York State College of Home Economics, and it was open to any woman in the state. However, as the century progressed, more progress was made to provide women with an education other than home economics. In 1945, Harvard finally allowed women to enter, and by the 1960s, there were 300 all-women colleges in existence. A key beneficiary of the women's movement in education is Rachel Carson, an environmentalist who argued against the use of pesticides. We have accumulated never-before-seen footage of Rachel Carson that is extremely rare and will only be shown on this day at this very minute. Cue video.
Wait! My name is Rachel Carson, and did you know that babies who are breastfed can consume and ingest pesticides which can cause harmful health effects? It's on my bestseller, Silent Spring.
Wow, I did not know that.
Well, now you know. Knowledge is power!
Pesticides are bad.
Now our special History 20 segment will examine the gap that is still true in the modern-day workplace. A woman in the late 20th century earns about 60 cents to every man's dollar. In addition, the glass ceiling, the idea that women being able to see more valued positions in the workplace, yet not being able to reach them, is in place. Many women in the workplace, dominated by men, are severely affected by sexual harassment at the hands of men who feel threatened by their presence. Even more women in heterosexual relationships, however, engage in the second shift, which consists of women participating in public workforce coming home, then completing all the work at home without the help of their husbands. This is very evident of the lingering effects of the gender binary in the modern workplace. What we hope to take from our discussion of over 100 years of changing roles of women is that there is still much work to be done in order to end sexism in the workplace today.
Class is over, so sorry I'm rambling on like always. I'll see you guys next class. Throughout the 20th century. I'm your host, Professor David Biggs from the University of California, Riverside.
Damn it! It's okay.
Sorry, I'm rambling, like always. Just kidding. No.
Yes!
Why'd you stop?
Why'd you do
Because
that?
I felt bad. I'm making fun of him.
I might not pick it, so just go ahead and do it.
Okay.